I want to talk about speaking in tongue. Last time I talked about uh, the day of Pentecost. Now I want to talk about speaking in tongue. Like in First Corinthians, I'm going to explain that to you. I'm going to break it down and go slowly. Because a lot of people don't understand what is speaking in tongue. So got to explain it to you and try to show you what is speaking in tongue and speaking in an unknown tongue. All right. In verse 14, it says, follow after charity. You know, it's like love. And desire spiritual gifts. See, spiritual gift, you know, it's a gift from God. You didn't have to, just like I said, when you're speaking in tongue, you didn't have to go to school for it or nothing. That's a gift. It's like somebody just give you something like that. See, that's what a gift is. You know, someone like give you something. You know, so a lot of people do not understand what that is. That's why it says follow after spiritual gifts as a gift from God. All right. But rather that ye may prophesy. See. Verse 2 says, for he that speaketh in an unknown tongue speaketh not unto man, but unto God. See, because no man understand him, knows what he is saying. Speak for no man understandeth him. Howbeit in the spirit he speaketh mystery. See, it's a mystery, you know, but he's speaking unto God. See, God knows what he's saying. It's like I said, God knows what the animals are saying. Anything, you know, everyone. But the other man that, like I say, if you only speak one language, you don't know he's speaking a mystery unto you. You don't know what he's saying. But he's speaking in an unknown tongue. It's unknown to you. That's why they call it speaking in an unknown tongue and speaking in tongue. Speaking in tongue, you're speaking in other people's language. That's what speaking in tongue is. Speaking in an unknown tongue, the people there, the person or the people there in the church don't know what you're saying. The language is unknown to you. All right, in verse 3 say, but he that prophesied speaking unto men to edification and exaltation and comfort. You know, edification is like building up one's faith, you know. That's what it is talking about, you know, like it says, speaking unto men to edification, you know, like building up one's faith. And exaltation is like to urge honestly. All right. Verse 4. He that speaketh in an unknown tongue edified himself. See, you know, he like instructing himself. He that speaking in an unknown tongue, he instructing himself. So you got to understand what unknown tongue is and what speaking in tongue is. See, verse 4, like I was saying, they said, and read it again. It said, he that speaketh in an unknown tongue edified himself, you know, like instructing himself. But he that prophesied edified the church, you know, like instruct the church. See. All right. Verse 5 said, I would that ye all speak with tongues, but rather that ye prophesy. For great is he that prophesied than he that speaketh with tongues, except he interpret, that the church may receive edifying. See. It said, I would that ye all speak with tongue. See, All the people back then didn't speak with tongues. That's what Paul was saying back then. You know, a lot of people think because you're saved, think that you have to speak with tongue. All those people back then were just saying, Paul was talking to the church, you know. But all of them didn't speak with tongues. But Paul said with that they all were speaking with tongues. You see. He said, for great is he that prophesied, that he that speaketh with tongue, except he interpret it. You see. Like he said, a lot of people, you speak with tongue, like speaking in other people's language and stuff like that. A lot of times there are different people, there are different groups of people that you got to be able to interpret it. You might be speaking the other person's language, but somebody else do not understand you, you know. So therefore you still have to interpret it for everybody to be instructed, you know, to understand you. See, that's why I said it. All right. Let's see, verse, I think I was in verse 6. Verse 6 said, now, brethren, if I come unto you speaking with tongues, what shall I profit you, except I shall speak to you either by revelation? You see what Paul said? He said, now, brethren, if I come to you speaking with tongues, you know, like speaking, you know, the other different people language and different language. He said, what shall I profit you? Even though you speak the other person's language, unless you're speaking by revelation, you know, and stuff like that, you know. Either by, you know, like you say, or by knowledge, you know, like knowledge of the word, you know, or by prophesying, or by doctrine, you know, the doctrine of the Bible, the Word of God, you know, or prophesying, telling you what's going to happen in the future. Otherwise, you know, you won't be prophet. You won't profit nothing, see, by speaking like that, you know. See, like I speak by revelation, you know, like an unknown of something hidden, you see. It'd be like some unknown, like something hidden, you know, like by revelation. You know, it come to you. That's what Paul is saying there. He said you won't even profit you nothing unless he's speaking by revelation, you know, unknown for something that is hidden, or by knowledge, you know, knowledge like understanding, you know, and or by prophesying, you know. Like you're prophesying something for the future, what's going to happen, you know, or by doctrine, you know, by the word of God. Otherwise, if you're just speaking, you know, in tongues like that, speaking in the other person's language like that, you're not prophesying them nothing. That's what he is saying, you know. You know, there's a lot of people do not understand that when they read that verse, they do not understand what Paul is saying. See, you know, like you speak, unless you're speaking by revelation, you know, like speaking like uncovering of something that was hidden, you know. There's like a lot of things was hidden from the people, what Paul spoke about in the New Testament, you know, hidden from the people in the Old Testament. All right, verse 7, let me say, and even things without life giving sound, whether pipe or harp, except they give a distinction in the sound. How shall it be known what is pipe or harp? See, everything give a certain sound, just like when there's a man going to war. See how they blow those whistles like in cowboy time, certain little sound you hear. Just like when have like a drill, like the school teacher in the classroom or something. You know, the fire alarm goes off. you know it's not the bell like for recess. It's a different sound. It makes a different sound. Not a bell for recess, it'll have another different little sound. You know that sound. But if it like be like a fire, you know, fire alarm, it make another sound, different sound. That's what Paul is saying here. You know, it's like a music. You play a certain song. You know, you play the song without the voice and all that. You can know what song it is just by the music, because the music's, each song that have music sound different. See, it's the same thing. It's what's all he is saying. You know, just like a man's voice. You know, like when you speak in Spanish, you know, the word come out a different sound. And then you speak English, the word come out another sound, different sound. And like we speak Japanese, the sound come out different from English or Spanish. See, that's all Paul is saying here. And saying, how shall it be known what is pipe or harp? And verse 8 said, for if the trumpet give an uncertain sound, who shall prepare himself to the battle? You see, that's all he is saying. You know, because all a certain sound, like a India when the war, India be coming, the soldier they would make a certain sound, prepare for war. You know, that the horn, they blow that horn, and the horn will make a certain sound. You know. All right, like in verse 9 say, so likewise, except ye uttered by the tongue, word easy to be understood, how shall it be known what is spoken? You see, for ye shall speak unto the air. You see, you'll be speaking, nobody won't understand you. That certain sound had to come out of your mouth for that person to understand what you are saying. That's what Paul is saying. See, you won't know what is spoken. See, otherwise you be speaking like unto the air. You know, nobody won't understand you. That person will understand what you are saying. All right. Verse 10. There are, it may be, so many kinds of voices. You see, telling you, talking about speaking in tongues, so many kinds of voices in the world. And none of them is without signification. You see? See, none of them without signification. That means none of it without meaning. See, they all mean something. See, when they come out of your mouth, it all means something. There's many voices in the world. That's why God give those many voices. Like in the beginning, they were trying to build a tower up to heaven. Like I said in Genesis 11, God came down and confounded that language. You know, in the day of Pentecost, God gave the apostle to speak all those people language. That's why Paul could go all over the world and preach the gospel. See, that's why the disciple went all over the world and preached the gospel. See, because they could speak, there was a gift from God. They could speak their language. They didn't have to go to school to learn these different languages. See, like kids come here from other countries, they have to learn American language, English. You know, go to school and learn it. Kids have to learn it. You know, but they didn't have to. Paul and the apostle, they didn't have to learn it. God gave it to them right off. Just like God changed their, confounded their language right off. You know, in Genesis chapter 11. You know, preachers don't tell you that, you know, but that's why I'm just showing you, you know, telling you, you know. God has given me an understanding of it. But in verse 11, you know, the edification, signification, I mean, like I said, it's the meaning. You know, a different type of meaning. They like voice come out of your house, and then they have a certain meaning. Like English have meaning that could come out in person's mouth, and Spanish have a meaning. You know, what the word that come out of their mouth. All right, verse 11 said, therefore, if I know not the meaning of the words, of the voice, excuse me, said, therefore, if I know not the meaning of the voice, I shall be unto him that speaketh a barbarian, and he that speaketh shall be a barbarian unto me. See? If you don't know not the meaning of the word that coming out of a person's mouth, you'd be like a barbarian unto each other. Can't speak to each other. Understand each other. You see? See, Paul explaining everything to you right there in 1 Corinthians chapter 14. Most people don't understand it. But he explaining to you clearly. What speaking in tongue and speaking in an unknown tongue is. Alright, like in verse 12 say, even so, ye for as much as ye are zealous of spiritual gifts, seek that ye may excel to the edifying of the church. See, like instructing of the church, like you're zealous, like ardently and interesting in something, interesting. Like excel means to better or be greater, to better yourself. To the edifying, instructing of the church. Edifying means like the instructing of the church. You see. To the edifying of the church. Alright, verse 13. It said, wherefore, let him that speaketh in an unknown tongue pray that he may interpret. See, if you speak in an unknown tongue, pray that he may interpret. Because it's unknown to the people. Like a person come from Japan, like I said, speaking Japanese. Everybody in the church only speaking English. So the Lord said, I pray that he can interpret it. So he can, have an interpreter with him. Like speak by two or three, like one interpreter. The Bible said, if he can't interpret it, what he is saying. See, like others had somebody with him. Pray that he may interpret it. Interpret it to English, what he is saying in Japanese. That's all, the Bible Paul is saying here. It's very simple, but preachers don't understand what it's because they have this false doctrine that, and stuff like that. You're speaking in tongue, nobody understand what you are saying and all that stuff. It's not true. You're speaking in tongue, you're speaking in the other person's language. The other person understand what you're saying. Speaking in the unknown tongue is unknown to you. That's why they call it unknown tongue. It's unknown to you or the church. See, because the person, is speaking in an unknown tongue to you. So that's why you have to understand what he is saying. See, like I said, I'm going to read 13 again. It said, wherefore let him that speaking in an unknown tongue pray that he may interpret it. See, that's why I like in, I think in verse 27, I'm going to jump to that. It said, if any man speaking in an unknown tongue, you see, let it be by two or at the most by three, and that by course let one interpret it. You see, and people be saying you're speaking in an unknown tongue. Nobody understand what you are saying. Somebody understand what the man is saying. See, the person that speaks his language understand what he is saying. See what I'm saying? It's just common sense. You listen to these lying preachers, they be saying because God didn't give them the gift of speaking in tongue, and they try to make up a language. Like they're speaking in tongue, like the church be doing now. Pentecostal church, a lot of them do that. Other churches. God didn't give the gift of them speaking in tongues, so they make up a language like they're speaking in tongue, but they're not speaking because they can't interpret it nothing. See? Nobody in the church knows what that person is saying. They believe they're speaking in tongue. Speaking in an unknown tongue, nobody knows what you are saying. That's what unknown is. Except the one that speak your language. That's why Paul is saying that right here. Verse 27, any man speaking in unknown tongue, say like to have an interpreter for him. Somebody that speaks his language, somebody knows what he is saying. See, he said, if any man speaking in unknown tongue, let it be by two or at the most by three, and that by course, and let one interpret it. See, the man that interpreted knows what he is saying. Why you think like people going to foreign country, them foreign leaders going to like to Russia and stuff like that, like America going to Russia? Donald Trump, Russia be speak together. They have a man or woman that be interpreted for Donald Trump and for Russia leader. Like with Vladimir Putin. Just pay attention. So they all have a person to interpret it, because Donald Trump can't speak Russian. That's all Paul is saying. All right, this is the last verse. I guess I'll start back in verse 14 is where I left off. Stops in verse 14. For I stop, like I said. For if I pray in an unknown tongue, my spirit prayed. You see. But my understanding is unfruitful. See? You see what Paul is saying? He said, if I pray in the unknown tongue, my spirit prayed, but my understanding is unfruitful. It's unfruitful because he's praying like he's praying in an unknown tongue to you. But you ain't going to understand what he is saying. See? Because you only speak maybe this one language, and he's praying, speaking in an unknown tongue to you. You don't know what he's saying, an unknown tongue to the church or to you, whatever. See, that's all I wanted to bring to y'all today, to get y'all to understand. But like I said, I'm going to start back in verse 14 on the next video, because it might take me 2 or 3 videos to finish this chapter, but I just want y'all to make sure that y'all understand what speaking in tongue is. Most people do not understand what Paul is saying here in verse 14. I'm just trying to break it down to you. Let no man deceive you. You ought to get an understanding of God's word. But thank y'all, and may God bless y'all and give y'all wisdom and knowledge and understanding of his word.